Hello. So today I just want to talk to you about why so many people seem to get confused by Neville's advice. As somebody who's really dived in deep in regards to trying to understand Neville's teachings, having edited 12 books of his lectures and some of his writings, and being, you know, extensively involved in the law of assumption space for over a decade, what I see is one main point that most of the law of assumption space seems to miss. It seems like this one key element is lacking. And so in this video, in a few minutes, I hope to just kind of clarify what that is. Because once you understand this point that is you just don't hear about very often, I think it will make you feel a lot better about applying these law of assumption principles into your life. And it will explain probably why it hasn't perhaps worked as well as you thought it would. Because that's the main thing I see. And I have, first of all, saw it in myself back in 2014 when I first really got into Neville, is I was wondering, why aren't these ideas working better for me? Because of my background being kind of a more body first somatic type of person, that solution kind of clarified itself rather quickly. But for most people, you don't have that background that I happen to have. And most people get stuck in their head when it comes to these ideas. And because of that, never really feel comfortable applying these ideas in the way that I think Neville meant. So back in 2014, I realized rather quickly that as wonderful as Neville's philosophy sounded, living in the end, being with the wish fulfilled, actualizing that, was much harder than it at first sounded. And I realized the one thing I could do well is focus on feeling more relaxed inwardly, going back to that and kind of cultivating that state of relaxation more and more. And in my opinion, that is what Neville usually is talking about when he talks about being in the wish fulfilled. See, when you have something, and Neville talks about this a lot, when you have something, it usually does not just be, it's not a feeling of constant ecstasy. It's more like a feeling of release and relief. You have something, there's a certainty and a conviction about it that makes you feel good, but not good in this blissful, blissed out way, but much more in just like a relaxed, oh, I already have it. I already have it in the 4D, if we want to use that language, and I'm going to inevitably have it in the 3D because I already feel I have it in the 4D. It's a very relaxed, peaceful, certain, calm type of feeling or state. When Neville talks about feeling being the secret, that is what he's discussing primarily, is that feeling of certainty. Now, if you don't want to use such far out language and say, well, I already have it, right? And it just has to show up in the 3D, you can simply use the language of Emile Coué, who hugely influenced Neville and was teaching this stuff about, 20, 30 years before Neville was. Coué basically said, if you expect something is going to happen, if you are going to do something and expect it to actually occur, it will happen, at least in large part. Neville took this to an extreme. He said, if you imagine something and feel something has already happened in your whole mind and body, if you feel it already has occurred, it will then come to pass in your external world. So Neville is kind of like a extreme approach towards what Coué was talking about 20 or 30 years prior to Neville. In Coué, it's very important to mention this. I always tell clients this, and I have many, many videos about this. Coué had extremely high success rates working with people, tens of thousands of people, because he explained very clearly that this is about suggesting something to yourself until you feel a conviction that it is so, that it is going to happen in the 3D, going to happen. You don't have to worry about thinking, oh, it hasn't happened yet. Why hasn't it happened yet? I can't think it's going to. It already has happened. As long as you think it's going to happen, it's that feeling of conviction, of certainty that it will happen, that will make it so. This is a point that's missed a lot of the time in the Neville and law of assumption space. But the larger point, and what I hope to convey a little bit at least in this video, is that when you feel something is so, or that things are going your way, or you feel relaxed because everything is good, or to paraphrase Emile Coué, every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. That kind of conviction is not a mental only conviction. It's not mind control. See, what I don't think people understand about Neville is Neville's really not about like mind control or controlling the mind. It's about a somatic experience, a full mind-body experience with emphasis on body experience, which gives you that conviction. When Neville spoke about the imagination, he talked about it dynamically, meaning that you have to feel this in your whole body, not just with your mind. You can't just say, oh, I now have $1 million. I now have $1 million. You have to feel that conviction. And that is a somatic conviction. And that, quite frankly, is why it doesn't work that well for most people long term. Because it's very hard to somatically, to have your body actually believe that what you want to pass has passed inwardly already, or is going to happen in the 3D when it's a big thing. If you don't have a lot of money and want to be a millionaire, it can be hard to have that conviction. If you want to be in a wonderful, loving relationship, but have only been in toxic, terrible relationships before, it can be very hard for the body to actually believe that you can have such a thing. See, we can't just get our mind to believe. We also have to get our body to believe. And that's somatic work. That's quote unquote shadow work. That's the deep work. That's what I like working with people on, is this element of it. Because if you understand that your mind is not the whole show here at all. And if you understand that, Coué, first of all, was a master hypnotist, a master at making people not believe just with their mind, but with their whole body, and that Neville was a master dramatist and dancer and very, very in touch with not just his mind, but with his whole body, it changes how you work with your imagination. But it's because you realize it's not a mental thing, it's a somatic thing most of the time. It's very easy to understand what Neville is talking about and get excited about it when you first encounter it, like I did back in 2014, and be like, oh my gosh, like I can easily do this. I can easily assume the end state. I know what he's talking about. It's another thing altogether when you start doing it and realize your mental assumption is not nearly enough because the body is saying, no, 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 no. And we got to make it so the body says, yes, I can buy that. I can believe that. When we do that, and we can do it in so many ways, we can do it through SATs, through affirmations, through journaling, through scripting, through all these fantastic techniques that Neville and other people share. When we do that, so not only the mind, but body are both on board, that is when true magic can happen. And it can happen very easily if we just focus on relaxing more each day. And that is something that you're capable of doing. And doing that can change your life. It certainly has changed my life. It's changed my relationships with the people in my life. And it's something that makes these ideas seem far away and inaccessible to something you can do right in your living room. And it can be a very accessible, gratifying daily practice. So I hope this was helpful. Links are in the description for some of my books. If you're interested in coaching, info on that is below. Until next time, realize that your imagination is dynamic and that you are getting better and better.